Hello, good morning, how are you, my friends? It's 8 AM here in London, where we are coming to you live from the home of rugby union, Twickenham Stadium, with more FACEIT Minors action. We will be kicking things off with the last two games of the Asian Minor, where we have only 3 teams remaining, one of which has already qualified to the major in September. Only one more spot is up for grabs, so let's get this show on the road. My name is Parla and I am your desk host for now. I am joined still by Eric and Sudhen. I don't know what Eric's doing, but I'm going to do it with him.
I'm channeling the energy, Parla. I'm channeling the energy of the games today.
We need that right now because it's very early. I've just had my breakfast. I had some peanut butter on some toast. I had some chocolate spread on some bread, and I topped it off with
Nutella.
A coffee.
There you go.
Coffee's good. Coffee's
Shout
always
out
good.
to Freya, by the
You
way,
like
and
coffee
the
in the
VT
morning.
team for that introductory
You look a little tired there.
thing. I'm not really sure, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Guys,
That was very creepy.
I was
I think it was
inspired.
supposed to be.
I was inspired by it. I want to be like you now.
It was creepy for me. It was inspiring for Eric. Okay then. All right.
Guys, what's going through your heads right now on this final day of the Asian Minor?
Renegades.
Renegades and Tyloo, right? So 6 minors. This is a 6th minor where we have Renegades and Tyloo in the top 3.
In the top 3.
Top 3 at the very least, right? So I think this game's going to decide who's gonna, is it going to be a little bit of a change in the status quo, so to speak? Is Tainted going to pull off the upset, be knocked out Renegades, which should be a massive thing, right? Renegades have always made it through to the major qualifiers every single time. So I don't know.
And Eric, what do you think? Just keep in mind that Mr. Chris Gomez is over there, the coach of...
Oh, yeah, he's just like...
the manager
he's just
of
lingering over there.
Renegades, so
What did you say?
He's watching us. I think.
the pressure.
I think if Tainted does pull off the upset, they have to start off with the first map win.
Yeah.
Because I think you can't let Renegades get that momentum, that first map. You saw how they played against Team Scars, 16-2 on Inferno, and then they did drop the second map, but I think Renegades is more of a momentum team than that.
Indeed. Everybody at home, do not forget to check us out on SM social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever else. Show your support. Get involved in the conversations using the, guys, hashtag FACEIT Minor. We also have a fantastic giveaway going on as well. The FACEIT Minors Millionaire giveaway. 2 million FACEIT points on the line. Head on over to faceitmajor.com/giveaway. You can redeem those points on the FACEIT website for prizes. Okay, guys, let's have a little chat about what we are about to see over the course of this morning. Our first best of 3 is going to be Renegades versus Tainted in that lower bracket final. And we have Tyloo already qualified for the major, waiting in the Asian Minor Grand Final.
All right, so I did a little recon work here. I talked to the coach of Team Renegades, Ryu. And I asked him,
Hadouken! Can you do a little Shoryuken on the desk for us? No, that's a Hadouken.
Well,
Shoryuken. Can you do a
That's hard.
Tek-Tek-Yuken?
No, I can't. I can't even lift my feet above my knees right now. But I talked to him a little bit. Like I'm not flexible right now.
Yeah, neither am I.
But I talked to Ryu, and Nifty's been sick this entire time. So maybe that's a little.
I actually ran into him yesterday.
Did he sneeze on you?
At the end of the day, and he said, I made a joke about him going past me. Oh, you're too big to say hello to me now, Noah. And he was like, just really ill.
Oh.
I can't verify what he's saying, Eric.
Yeah, so it's pretty dangerous if he actually comes here healthy and playing on all 4 cylinders, because his entire event he's been kind of missing. He's a lot of matches he's starting off 0-6, 0-7. And that hurts the team a little bit.
It does, right? And if you're facing off against some opponents of a higher caliber, I think that would definitely be a worrying factor. But then again, let's be honest, you're facing off against Tainted Minds, yeah. Hometown, like the kind of like a domestic matchup happening here. But it's the first time these two lineups are playing if I'm not very much mistaken. They've never played against each other ever before, although, of course, Yam has played
they're going to
Renegades.
have the info on each other.
Some of these players have some history here and there, and sure, people might be like, domestic matchups are very, always can lead to messy outcomes, like we saw yesterday, 3D Max and Left Out, for example, in the EU minor, right? But let's be honest, Tainted Minds have looked very shaky throughout this entire tournament, and Renegades, even if Nifty doesn't even show up, even if Nifty's like, I'm not going to frag today, guys, I'm just going to sit and spawn, I'm just going to be doing the calling, they should still win, because JKS is hitting everything right now. JKS is being a solid rock, Oz is having his moment.
Yes.
Yik is Mr. Savage, right? Savaging everyone. We have Azza, we have everyone else really stepping up for Renegades right now.
Yes.
So, yeah, I do agree Nifty being sick is obviously not a good factor.
He's over
but
there.
I think it's going to be fine. And Nifty...
Justin Savage poked his head round the corner and he waved at us.
Are
So
we like super loud or something?
I don't know. Maybe
we're a
we
loud
are.
bunch.
It's partly our job.
Energetic.
But before we do too much of our job and get into more details, let's get to know these two teams a little bit better and how they've gotten into the position they are right now.
In our first best of 3 of the day, 2 Australian teams collide as Tainted Minds face Renegades. Renegades come off a win against Scars as JKS pulled out ahead of the pack and will be one to watch coming into this matchup. Tainted Minds, on the other hand, come off a loss against Tyloo. In-game leader Offney will need to step back up if they hope to grasp the final qualification spot. But will they be able to take down Renegades?
That took us by surprise. Our wonderful producer just back in vision, and we're just there, just dancing around. Let's take a look at the bracket now that we are a bit up to speed with regards to what the teams have been up to recently. Group A, Scars Absolute with a nice result at the start and also beating Renegades moving forward into that first qualifying spot. Nonetheless, Renegades managed to battle through that lower bracket, beating both VG Flash and Boot to get that second spot in Group A. Moving on to Group B, we have Tyloo squaring off against Firepower and then Tainted Minds, where they had good performances in both of those matchups and getting into that first qualifying spot, and Tainted Minds working their way through that lower bracket, besting Unique Stars who had beat Firepower. And that leads us into the final bracket, which we've seen play out over the last couple of days. Tyloo moving forward to the grand final, first and foremost by beating both Renegades and the Tainted boys. Tainted beat Scars, Scars fell down to then play against Renegades, and now that puts us into the match we are about to see, in which we can now properly get into detail with Tainted Minds versus Renegades. First and foremost, let's go back to what we can relate between these two teams. Tainted Minds is an Australian organisation. It is a team that represents that country. They also have 2 players from New Zealand. But yeah, they're an oceanic team. Renegades originally was an all-Australian project when it started with our wonderful friend Chad Sponge Birchall and some of the guys on that team right now when they were on Vox, etc. Now they also have Jacob from Norway and Nifty. But nonetheless, that thread of Australian CS runs through these two teams, and how can that factor into this matchup?
Yeah, here's the thing with Tainted Minds, right? Like, they are a top Australian team right now, alongside the likes of a Greyhound or Order or even Chiefs for that matter. But the thing is, I think when it comes to an upset factor, we've seen Chiefs and Greyhound have some massive performances in IM Sydney and a few events here and there. But to be honest, Tainted Minds, the other boys, they really haven't really impressed me that much. They've been very solid overall in the domestic circuit. They've pretty much won very convincingly against most Asian teams. But when they face off against, I'm talking about the best in Asia. I'm talking about a Tyloo or an MVP PK or maybe a couple of the other Chinese teams. I think they struggled a little bit here and there. And also against their Australian counterparts, they haven't been a consistent force. I think they've lost more games than they've won. I could be wrong here, but it's been kind of like up and down, so to speak. Now, if you look at this tournament, even against teams like Unique Stars, against Scars Absolute, sure, they've won those games, but it was a very sloppy way to win. They had to come up with some individual heroics. The structure's not that tight enough, like you mentioned earlier yesterday, right, Eric? And today, they're going to be facing off against one of the favorites in this tournament, Renegades, who have won I think like 3 or 2 minors in a row. They are the reigning minor champs. They're going to be facing, and the winner of this, of course, is going to be facing off against the Tyloo, who look phenomenal, at least in this tournament. So I think for them, you know, mentally they need to kind of like just kind of reset and kind of think like, all right, guys, you know, this is one shot, one opportunity. Mom Spaghetti, we got to push this through.
Mom Spaghetti.
They have
knees weak, arms heavy. Mom Spaghetti.
You cannot
and
afford
we
to have your arms.
Spaghetti.
You cannot afford to have your arms heavy in this matchup, right? That's a problem, and they got to be light. They got to be hitting headshots, and more importantly, for these guys to pull off this upset, they got to be disruptive. They can't just keep playing we're just going to play our games and make it work. No, you have to be disruptive.
That's a very good
Mom
point.
Spaghetti. Eric, could you continue talking a bit about Tainted Minds?
Tainted Minds.
Because I know yesterday you did say that whilst I think we're in agreement that Renegades are the favourites, that if Tainted Minds are maybe perhaps in the way Suden is saying with regards to being disruptive and playing above their normal level, or at least have some read on the Renegades, they could have a chance here.
So if they want to be a little disruptive, I think just have a lot of communications. Because if you watch them yesterday, they were pushing a lot. They're being very aggressive. The key of that, though, is kind of mixing it up. You know, play passes sometimes, play a push here and there, and also wait for your teammates. There's a lot of times where they're peeking by themselves, not waiting for teammates, and just you have to exchange kills, especially a team like Renegades who have a lot of skill. And on top of that, you have Yam, who got cut from Renegades, and so he has a chip on his shoulder.
Snippety snip.
And that,
He's got
you know,
a point to prove, maybe.
That makes people play above and beyond their normal games. And, you know, speaking from my experiences, you know, I got cut from teams in the past. And
you get cut a lot, don't you?
Not a lot.
Ooh.
Okay, not a lot, but I have been cut, and I've always just, the fire burns within me.
Yeah.
And I just want to just...
But we know that furnace is always lit,
it's always lit
at a high temperature. Let's move on to talking about Renegades in some more detail. So let's start off with a point that we've been touching upon, that these guys, more often than not, maybe in terms of percentages, should be winning this maybe 70% of the time. I don't know what you guys would put on it exactly
90.
as a number. 90? Okay.
Yeah.
But these guys are, for all intents and purposes here, a favourite. I'm lowering my voice a bit because I don't want to distract the players because they're right round the corner. Maybe they already heard that and I've offended some people.
Could
Hopefully.
It's part of our
you
job.
probably lost some friends
We
by
have
now.
to defend a little bit, but, you know,
Hopefully
it's
they're-
sprinkling it. We're sprinkling it on there.
Hopefully
okay?
they're okay. But guys, can you talk on that a bit and about Renegades here? This should be the result they expect to win out.
Yeah, true, right? But here's the thing: Renegades against these lower teams have always been a little shaky, right?
Yeah.
I remember, like, I think that was first IM Sydney where they had that upset loss against the Chiefs. I think that's how they got knocked out of the tournament. That was a massive upset, right? So it's their history. I wouldn't really say recent history. I think there was a different lineup. I think they had Nexo back then playing for them, but you know, their history, so to speak, against their domestic rivalry hasn't been quite stellar, so to speak. They have to be going into this more confident. We saw the interview yesterday. I think it was with Nifty, or was it with Ryu? I forget, where they were speaking about how they lost map number 2. Nifty, right? It was how they lost that map to SC Absolute. A credit to SC Absolute. They played brilliantly as Scars, right? But at the same time, like Nifty said, we're like, how are we losing this? Like, that's a mentality they need to push on ahead. They got to be like, we need to just win with our eyes closed.
Yeah.
You know, just play to your strengths. Renegades don't have to try anything crazy. For them to take this one and meet Tyloo in the finals, they just need to play the standard default game, and they should have this in the bag.
I mean, it would be quite the story if Tainted Minds managed to beat Renegades here. Correct, Eric?
Oh, that's correct. And as you know, he made a very awesome point. Renegades has to come out hot. They have to come out confident and not second guess themselves. They don't have to do anything crazy. They play a lot, practice a lot. They work on all the aspects that you have to be a good CS:GO team. All that.
Just having a good time. He's laughing it up.
He's owning it up, and
living it
that's
up.
good. You want to be a little loose, but it's, you know, just a little bit of that excitement to help you with the aim and everything. And I mean, it's up to them to lose it.
Yes.
You know? So that's a lot of pressure.
But that's also something that they should look out for, right? They shouldn't just be playing not to lose and be thinking about the fact that they are seen as the favourites here. They do still just need to kind of like stay completely focused and treat this like any other game, right?
No respect. They play their best when they have no respect for the opponents.
Okay, so you think that they should really go Lil Jon reference to the window, and
No,
holds barred.
I agree. Like the second they go for a little bit of no respect play, saying that we are as individuals better players than you are.
Okay.
And they also have the the coordination and all the basic stuff down to a pad better than Tainted Minds. When you apply the pressure early on, a team like Tainted Minds who have who have shown that they can crack a little bit under pressure, who aren't that experienced as the Renegades, they might actually start cracking up early on, and that could kind of just kind of snowball out of control, so to speak, for Tainted Minds. So I completely agree with Eric here. Renegades are just Renegades.
Oh,
wow.
I've got him!
Renegades!
Renegades!
The Renegades just go in there, deep,
Yes.
all the way to the elbow.
Well, let's get up on the screen a player from each team and put them head-to-head. We have JKS, also known as Justin Savage, and then as you'll see, Ryan Palmer. JKS has been potentially the best player in Australia for a while now. He always has great performance. He's very consistent at getting those important impact frags and often multi-kills. Zeusy has also been performing well on his team, but hasn't yet been able to reach the international level of competition that the man to his right and our left on screen has.
I've seen Zeusy.
Zeusy!
I've seen him over a year ago, and as I said, I thought he was the next up-and-comer.
Oh, I
thought he was the next thing coming from the Aussie land, but he just never really came together. So hopefully, he might have a breakout series.
Wait, Zeusy's from New Zealand?
Oh, is Zeusy one of their New Zealand players?
I think so.
Okay.
I think he's
sorry,
I think he just insulted an entire country of people.
I don't mean to insult the whole country.
It's okay, Eric. Just go with the flow. Just go with the flow.
I'm just playing American ignorance here.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly. That's fine. Do you remember? What am I saying? Do you remember? No, what I mean to say is that we have a lot of Zeuses in CS.
We've got
Zeusy. We've got Zeus on Na'Vi. We've got Zeus, the coach of Liquid.
You know what's even more boggling for me? We got Captain Mo. We got Mo, NA Mo.
Yeah.
We've got Australian Mo ECQ.
And we've got
Kazaki Mo. And all four are operas. I just need one more Mo, and I have my super Mo team.
Well, we only have a Mo until we get into the Veto. Was that on a scale of 1 to 10? How cool was that?
About 6.5. I'm being real.
that was a 5.
That's
man.
generous. Guys, let's talk maps and potentially how Tainted Minds could get an upper hand here. Or the Renegades just have a deeper map pool.
Firstly, yeah, Renegades do definitely have a deeper map pool. And secondly, it's going to be very hard for Tainted Minds to work anything out, because here's the thing. Nuke is a map that Tainted Minds are actually, it's kind of like a surprise pick for them. And this is a perma-ban for Renegades. And then now what Tainted Minds going to do is they're going to ban out Train, because Train is...
Why don't they ban Mirage? Why do they keep playing Mirage? Why do they keep playing Mirage?
I can feel
Stop it.
The physical annoyance from both of my colleagues to my right.
Renegades are going to be so happy right now. They can pick now. They can choose. Like, do we go for Inferno? Do we go for Train? They have the option to go with. If they go with Train, Tainted Minds are in for the Pain Train. That's a map they rarely play on. Renegades is going to run over them. Now, if they had banned out Train, Renegades would have to go for Inferno, where I kind of feel Tainted Minds would have something to show there.
But they might pick Overpass. That's the thing. I heard that behind the scenes that Tainted Minds is an Overpass team, but that's a Renegades, good map too.
If Tainted Minds wanted to win this game, they need to take it 2-0. Let's be very honest, right? Because the final map, whichever it's going to be, they're not going to have that deeper map pool to pull it off. It is going to be Overpass, of course. This is a map which I expect them to take, because Renegades are very shaky on it. And the final map, I think, is going to be Cash, right? So Dust 2 is banned out, so we have Mirage, which should be banned out by Tainted Minds. Renegades should be banning out...
They ban Mirage. Okay.
My analysts pause for what seems an infinite amount of time there. As what is quite a surprising.
You look at Tainted Minds last couple days; they got destroyed on Mirage both times, pretty much.
And Renegades, listen, they lost to Tai Lu. Hey, but it's Tai Lu and Mirage. You don't have to lose your confidence in that, right? I think Tainted Minds just might allow Cash through. I think Cash is... Cash is a map that they're both pretty comfortable with, but they have the freedom now. Inferno or Cash.
They ban Inferno 100%.
Yeah,
they have to.
I agree with Eric. I think it should be a Cash. Of course not. Everything's so topsy-turvy down under.
I don't know. Okay, so there's some mind games being played right here, and I'm not sure if I know what's going on. I mean, it's above my mind at the moment. So
the
Mom Spaghetti!
the thing with Cash, I kind of understand. It's the most played map or the most picked map by Tainted Minds. Also one of the Renegade's best map.
Yeah.
So Tainted Minds probably could be thinking that, hey, we might be really good here, but Renegades are probably better than us on this map, which I can completely respect and understand.
Right.
But let's be honest, even Inferno, man, Renegade should pretty much have this.
What do you think Renegades are talking about right now? They're literally all giggling. Like, they're all laughing. I don't know what. Maybe
they kind of look sad, and they look like they're under a school test or something,
Yeah,
just trying to the pressure.
Oh,
Yam
Yam
is
really,
He's already given up.
I want to say giving up, but again, they have to show a little bit more spunk, you know?
Yeah, no, of course, of course.
It's
It's important to note how these players are looking before matches and what their traits are during a match, etc. But it's also important not to read too deeply into it. Some players can be focused and concentrated and they might look a bit stressed. Others can look more relaxed and that's actually them being nervous. But it is interesting to take a look there at Renegades and see them laughing, being quite jovial.
I agree, because if you look at, like, let's say the Scandinavian teams, right? You saw ENCE yesterday. They were just dismantling everyone and they had showed no human emotions, right? The only person who showed emotions there was Natu, just walking around behind them like a proud,
finished, though.
My father.
They're finished,
exactly.
though.
My father.
Exactly.
It's a
I
culture.
think he's got a
Natu,
lot
you are
of
my
children
father.
right now, Natu. He's got his IRL children and he's got his, you know, CS children and Pala as well. You
I
know,
am one of his RL children.
Okay.
Yes.
Born.
Oh, Natu, you naughty man.
Born from his seed.
We know Finland and Finnish people are, they have a way of dealing with their emotions and being very reserved, and so yeah, I'm sure ENCE yesterday were fantastic.
Exactly. And
holding
push it down. They just push it down
the
until
nerves
it
and
boils
pressure.
up and
explodes.
they go on a murderous spree. I don't know.
Okay, guys, let's get into
In CS:GO.
predictions.
In CS:GO, guys. In
Quickly,
CS:GO.
predictions, guys. Our casters are ready.
Is it that hard? Renegades.
I mean, I want to say Renegades 2-0. I'm going to
Okay.
say Renegades 2-0, but if Tainted Minds wants to win, they need to win the first map.
The Tainted
First
boys.
map, they need to win. That's
It has to be 2 over 10 Tainted Minds, which I don't see happening. It's going to be Renegades.
All right,
All
I'm
the way.
going to go with Renegades as well. And now, standing by, we have two of our fantastic community casters. This is their second event after we brought them on at ECS. We have both Hawker and Dinko.
Thank you, Pala. Yeah, we've got Renegades taking on Tainted Minds. Obviously, the cable is near killing me, but yeah, we got Renegades taking on Tainted Minds. It's going to be an interesting one. I'm really looking forward to this game. We look at Renegades and we see that yesterday they played Inferno. That's why it's a bit of an interesting third map decider for me when I seen that in the Veto, because we've seen Renegades absolutely destroy Scars on this map. They beat them 16-2, and the player that was quite pivotal in that was Justillo. With the way he was taking apartments was very thorough. He was taking control every single round. So I think if it goes to a third map, like Blair says, I feel like they have to win 2-0 to even have a chance of winning this one. Because if it goes to a third map, they're likely not to get anywhere with it.
I think just in general as well, Train as the first map here is going to be a pretty rough one. We saw Renegades on that earlier in the tournament. Against Tyloo, that was a really interesting game because Renegades managed to get an 11-4 start on their T side, and they didn't close it out, but it just goes to show how good of a team Renegades can be on Train. One interesting factor, though, will be the fact that you heard the desk say that Nifty has been kind of ill throughout this event. So on Train especially, probably the map where the AWPer is most impactful. We'll have to see if that is going to come into play as we head into the pistol round. Last time, Renegades with their pistol went towards Ivy with 2 nades, but this time it's going to be a complete blowout. Justillo gets 2, Jacob finds one of his own. Zusi trying to battle back, and he does find a couple of kills, so maybe this one isn't over yet. Zusi going to have to put in a shift here, though, and he's being hunted down by many, many players. Eventually, he will fall, and Offnu, on the other side of the map, is wondering what the hell is happening. He's going to have to retake a 1-on-3.
Offnu left on his own, going to be making his way from the back of the bomb site just to try and edge his way out. He's been spotted as well, so that makes it a lot more difficult to get anything done. So Renegades going to take the pistol quite comfortably. I mean, Renegades, you know, that's kind of what you expect from them, just to come in and disrespect them like that. Straight up fast play, just take the headshots and put yourself in a good position. Now they're up 1-0. They will invest quite heavy actually on the AKs, 3 of them coming out here with a UMP and a MAC-10 for the cash purposes, and Tainted Minds obviously going for their standard buy where they pick up the pistols instead of the Kevlar. We've seen them doing that yesterday, and what it allows for is, you know, to build up a little bit of money for your first gun round where you're able to get a little bit more utility than you perhaps usually would.
Yeah, and you were also talking about how you think that Renegades are going to play this one incredibly confidently, and I mean, not necessarily disrespectfully, but they know that they should be the better team. But also, yesterday, we saw Tainted Minds consistently play a ridiculously aggressive style, especially on their CT side. I'm not sure Train is quite as well suited to that as some of the other maps they were playing, but we'll see if that's the case into the gun rounds, because right now it's only the pistols, and the push will come forth. Zusi and Burn getting some kills, but JKS will fight back into a 3v2, and ooh, JKS steals that one away, but it is going to be Renegades with all of the frags. Yeah, I'm on 5 HP, shouldn't have anything to do, but this was not a big investment from Tainted Minds. You can see there, once the money comes on the screen, yeah, they don't have sort of that much invested into this round, so not too bad for them.
Yeah, the goal here is just to try and get a couple of kills, try and do a little bit of economic damage, try and prevent Renegades from building up too much money, while also keeping yourself some for later. So, Renegades, they will go 2-0 and pretty convincingly take the start. It's the way we're saying about Tainted Minds getting very aggressive, I feel like that's going to be a style they'll have to play as well against Renegades here. Obviously, when they played against Tyloo yesterday, they were again the heavy underdog. We've seen them get 2-0'd yesterday in that best of 3, and again here, they are the underdogs. So, they've got to try and disrupt Renegades' playstyle, really prevent them from being able to play the way Renegades want to play comfortably. You know, you got to have Tainted Minds getting in their face. If they've got an execute coming in, try and kill someone with a smoke, that'll disrupt everything and cause a little bit of chaos. And I feel like that's the only way Tainted Minds will be able to pick up enough rounds here.
So this wasn't quite a full eco from Tainted Minds. They had that early nade stack into a main. Again though, just in general, if you haven't seen much of Tainted Minds, a lot of these rounds they will go for hard saves just to make sure they have everything into that first gun round. And I kind of like that from Tainted Minds, you know. If you're going to play that aggressive style, you have to feel fully comfortable. You have to have all those nades to make sure that aggressive style can pay off. So I like the fact that Tainted Minds do go for these saves if they are going to go for that confident play style heading into the gun round. Either way, into this one, not too much damage done. Again, a couple of players low on health. Maybe Burn could find something. 1 or 2 stray bullets would take down Ustillo, but Ustillo only has the USP at the top there, so he's clearly sort of willing to take this fight. He wouldn't lose too much if he died with it, so that's kind of a cool adaptation. I think he gave his gun away to a teammate. Either way, it is just going to be Burn coming up the ladder, and Ustillo will take him down anyway.
Yeah, no head armor allows for the USP to be still very effective in that round. So we look at Renegades 3-0 after picking up the pistol. Pretty standard against Tainted Minds, as they don't really go for the second round win, because they obviously don't buy Kevlar, they don't buy utility into that pretty much ever. So it's really comes down to this gun round, whether or not we're going to see Tainted Minds be able to pick it up. They're going to pull out the AWP, and you can see after that sort of round, with the second round where they didn't pick up Kevlar, they're able to afford an AWP and plenty of utility across the 4 M4s. So you can see how it works. And now Inns is going to sit back in the off angle. He's going to find Ustillo and Azur. 2-man advantage for Tainted Minds, and the round has just virtually begun. And Renegades, looking a little bit stunned, have to find a way to pull this disadvantage back.
Ofnu in this off angle. Probably should get at least 1 kill. Does find the first. Oh, and there's no trade. I thought Ofnu might be traded on there, but he survives on 5 HP. And this will be a really nice round for Tainted Minds if they can survive with all 5 players, just to be able to build up even more money. I mean, we saw Yam on the AWP be very aggressive yesterday, but here he hasn't needed to do anything in this first gun round, which is always nice for the AWPer. It's going to be nifty, seeing if he can do anything. And the answer is no. Inns finishes it off with a 3k. Now Renegades will be going for another full buy though, and I assume this time Nifty will have the AWP, so that could get pretty interesting. Again, we were kind of talking about Nifty earlier. He's been pretty lackluster throughout this tournament, with the caveats being, of course, that he's been pretty ill throughout this tournament. So it kind of just depends if he's got over that. Hopefully he will have a good showing into this map, because that's what Renegades need. And we are going to see Nifty with that AWP go towards Ivy at the start of the round. Int, again, is playing this position. I don't think he's going to peek too much, though. With just the M4, he doesn't want to take that risk, and indeed, he will just smoke it off.
Nifty onto the AWP. We didn't see him pull it out too much yesterday against Scars. Didn't really need to on the first map. Then we moved into the second, he pulled it out a little bit more, but obviously now with the knowledge that he has been suffering with a sickness, that it does kind of explain it slightly. I mean, you don't expect to see Nifty around the bottom of the scoreboard ever, really, for Renegades.
I mean, Nifty can be a pretty inconsistent player from what I've seen in the past. Like, he'll have some really insane maps, but then sometimes he can be a little bit missing, I think. And obviously, he's still, I think for the most part, that in-game leader of the team. I think there was a bit of a discussion as to whether or not some of the other players are picking up on some of the different maps. I think I saw Sponge talk about that on Twitter. But it's still Nifty, the main in-game leader for the side, that's for sure. And it's always nice to have other players chime in when they have different ideas. Either way here, with 30 seconds left, a much slower round from Renegades. Eventually, they're going to go for the push, and Zusi finds the first and the second on the hold. Nifty out in the open will be caught, and there's not much to say here, just a complete shutdown from Tainted Minds.
JKS on his own. Best performer on Renegades yesterday in their best of 3. Let's see what he can do here today. Early into the game, he's going to edge his way out of team in and get shut down by Yam. So he's not going to be allowed to do too much, and that will be Renegades starting to feel a little bit of the pressure. Tainted Minds building up quite a lot of rounds now. You know, we've got 2 in a row. You've put Renegades into a pretty poor economic position. And here's the replay from Zusi just shutting them all down. It seems as though that's been the common factor for Tainted Minds in the past 2 rounds. It's just been multi-spray downs. They've been able to find multi-kills with no trades from Renegades, and that's something that Renegades are usually quite good at, is instantly trading. We've seen it yesterday, but Tainted Minds will be taking that every day of the week. And Renegades obviously down to a pretty weak buy. They will have themselves just 1 Deagle on Kevlar. So Tainted Minds, they'll be looking to get themselves 3. And even out that scoreline. This is a great start for Tainted Minds in comparison to maybe what we thought would happen. Tainted Minds have definitely put up a fight early here.
Yeah, talking about that previous round as well, I think if Nifty's going to pick up that AWP, I'd like him to be a bit more proactive with it. Because you see, with 30 seconds left, they have 3 players pushing through Ivy. The last man in there is Nifty. It's really hard for him to trade with the AWP, so that's kind of part of the problem there. That's what allowed the 3rd frag to come through. And, I mean, sure, you hope that the first 2 players with the rifles are going to get the kill, but if they don't, Nifty's in a very tough position there. So I'd prefer him to try and maybe work an opening pick with that AWP into the future. Into this round, it's going to be a quick B play, just going for the bomb plant, but that will not be possible. Pretty easy shutdown. Jacob, ooh, does get a quick D-kill. Okay. I mean, it's still a 1v3. I don't think it's that doable. He's going to get himself an M4, though, so maybe a slightly better chance as he finds another. Jacob spamming away, but he's not going to find it. Good effort, though. Got to give him the nice try in the chat there, and at least a bit of damage.
Yeah, Tainted Minds, they might have been feeling the pressure a little bit there. Zusi off now, and Ins go down to Jacob, where we deem to have no chance. 2 crazy 1Ds and picks up the M4 for the 3rd. So that puts Tainted Minds up to 3 though. They still win the round, and Renegades, they will get themselves another buy. This time with no AWP presence, so it's going to be the 5 rifles. And they've got utility across the board as well. It seems to be just sort of a standard split from Renegades. Pretty 3 players push down towards Ivy, put a little bit of presence towards upper B. You send someone with JKS to make sure if there is a challenge towards upper, you can trade efficiently and still maintain control of brown holes. Because if you lose control of brown holes, you know, you're going to have a huge weakness and on the map, and you'll be really forced and limited to what you can do. So, Tainted Minds, they built up a nice bit of momentum for themselves. If they can continue it into this one, this will be an excellent start for the Tainted Minds side, and Inns is just waiting for his Stillo to come through. Still will gain the information that Inns is playing from this angle. He played the off angle already, so Renegades are aware of that possibility, so instead they will smoke it off, and Zusi will feel the pressure as it builds towards the A bomb site. Zusi stuck on the middle of the bomb site. They come towards him. JKM is on fire today, and he will find himself the head of Zusi. Nifty will trade and no extend upon that. JKS will find one as well, and JKS follows up. Yam left looking a little bit red-faced, and Barris will fall back on his own. They try and save that AWP.
Much better push from Renegades this time around. Obviously, getting that first kill towards Ivy helps a lot, but also they had the players at A main. They had, I think, one man at Pop Dog ready to also just completely, you know, cut off all of the angles. They managed to clear so many positions because of the different angles they were playing from there. So that was really cool to see. It's also interesting to look at the Tainted Minds CT side here, because again, we said throughout the day yesterday they were really, really aggressive. We have seen Tainted Minds play this map once before, as Yam loses his AWP there, but we have seen them play it once before here against Unique Stars. And yeah, I think just in general, Train might not lend to that aggressive style quite as well. Like, you can definitely go for opening picks with the AWP, but you're not going to be like pushing through A main like we saw Yam do on Cash. You're not going to be pushing all the way through B or anything like that. So it's kind of an interesting map for Tainted Minds. They did have a very easy win against Unique Stars when they played this map previously, but obviously Renegades a different sort of level of competition, and we are going to see Nifty go for that AWP again. So again, I think that's going to be pretty important to see him try and play a bit more proactively, like I was saying previously. Definitely want to see him try and get the opening pick rather than just hanging back if he's going to go for that AWP. I think it's okay to go for the 5 AKs on the T side of Train as well, if you're not comfortable going for the aggressive plays with the AWP. But we'll see what Nifty decides to do with that sniper into this round as we get through the Tainted Minds tactical timeout and head back into a gun round.
Tainted Minds, they have been actually pretty good with their tactical pauses throughout the tournament. And they've been one of the teams that have been calling early pauses, which can really stop the enemy team getting ahead of you so far at the start of the game. So Tainted Minds have been definitely very, very good with their tactical pauses, although Stillo, he's been very good as well, and he has found himself the opening. Gets traded back by Yam, but Azur elsewhere will get a kill as well. Burn a follow-up, and JKM. That's going to be the difference into this round so far. Tainted Minds sitting back. It's the ult from Yam. Needed to get something done, but the smoke covers him off. And this opens up a huge opportunity for Renegades once again. The bomb will go down on the bomb site. And it's Tainted Minds 2 versus 3, but Offnu's got himself a great position. Should be able to catch JKS, but somehow JKS spins round and finds Offnu's head. And again, Yam is left to save this AWP towards the opposite end of the map.
Renegades really starting to exploit that A bomb site. And again, it's because they push from multiple angles as, oh dear, Yam is going to be caught. Again, Yam's been playing that B bomb site. Okay, a little bit of BM from JKS. Oh, he's having a chuckle about it as well. Rare to see JKS smile, but he was having fun. Straight back to the straight face, of course. Can't have fun for too long. But yeah, just talking about Renegades here. Again, they're consistently going for this A-sided push. They are consistently pushing from multiple angles, and Tainted Minds can't really cope with that. So I think it might be worth putting Yam over towards A with that AWP, just so that he can either go for a pick or just try and hold one of those longer range angles. That won't be a possibility into this round, though, because it's just 5 USPs on the CT side as Azur opens things up.
No, he doesn't expect Burn to come through with a USP. He's actually got himself a kill, picks up the rifle as well, but not able to get too much done with it. And Inns is now looking to just try and see what he can find. I think he's going to get too much, and JKS will follow up as well. And this is looking scary for Tainted Minds, because obviously we see JKM, he's on fire, JKS showing up as well. And if those two players are working together in the fashion that they are currently, with JKM sitting on 11 kills and 5 deaths, JKS on 11 and 3, if you've got those two players firing off for Renegades, you've got a very scary team coming at you. And JKM's always been pretty good at Train, though. I think that's always been a map that he's always been quite good at. So Nifty, this is the dynamic AWP you were talking about, straight out of team main. Looking for the opening with the AWP. Zusi, though, on the opposite end of the map, gets counter-aggression. Let's see what he can get done here as he moves his way through the brine holes. He's got 3 teammates with him. Zusi finds the first JKM. He's got to hold the fort. He's found the first. He's looking for a little bit more, and he will find Yam. And that opens up a huge opportunity. As Burn, are you okay? Has to wait on the opposite end of the bomb site, and Azur. He does the damage towards A, Jacob does the damage towards B, and it leaves Tainted Minds in a very scary position. Zusi now down on 19 HP. Has to save towards the showers.
So we finally see that Tainted Minds aggression we were talking about, but pushing with 3 players through B is always going to have the risk of leaving that A site fairly vulnerable. And even with that B aggression, Jacob did an excellent job at shutting it down. He even won those trades, finding the second kill as he kind of pre-fired Yam's position. And again, that's the kind of problem for me with Train, right? I don't know if it suits Tainted Minds' aggressive style. If you're going to push with 3 players through B, it just gives up so much else of the map. He's playing an interesting save position. That's kind of a nice off angle, but can he reposition? He just about gets back to safety, and I think the nade and the molly combo will force Nifty to just hang back. So they won't be taking Zeusy out of action, but they will be saving quite a few guns on their side of things, and Renegade's certainly starting to build up that bank now. If you want me to give sort of a silver lining for Tainted Minds, I guess it's the fact that when we saw Renegades play on Train against Tyloo, Renegades won the T side 11-4, and they still lost that map in regulation. So maybe there's some weaknesses to be exploited on Renegade's CT side. We'll have to see if Tainted Minds can find that into the second half. But first, they will be looking to at least salvage a few more rounds on this CT side of things. And Ince will look to do that with the P250, pushing in towards Olof. As are waiting patiently, and he will find an easy opening into the round. There is that M4 of Zeusy towards A as well, so they might try and bait the push forwards in towards his position. And, oh, I was going to say Zeusy has a good chance, but Ustillo domes him. And that is a really nice kill to find as Ustillo does work.
As they're on the prowl now towards the A-bomb site. There's a spot at the player, and it's Jake in fact to find the kill. Yeah, I'm going to fall. That puts Offnu in a very scary position, 1 versus 5. You can't really expect him to do too much into this one, and he will be left just trying to see if there's CZ or set up for an exit frag. So he walks back towards CT spawn, just holds this angle for anybody. Then hopefully it comes into his crosshair, he can snap them up. But Tainted Minds, you know, they had that opportunity there in their first gun round. They won 3 in a row. But after that, Renegades just came out all guns blazing, and also Tainted Minds, after calling a pause, still nothing working for them, and that was something they tried to do against Tyloo. Obviously, Tyloo just being the better team, it's a little bit difficult to do that, so Tainted Minds, they may have just met their matches, being down 8-3. This is their chance to change that. They will pull out the 4 rifles, AWP, and see what they can get done with this.
Something that's kind of interesting is that you remember that head-to-head matchup back on the desk. Yeah. It was JKS and Zeusy. And to be fair to Zeusy, he's doing pretty well so far. He's up there at 10 kills. He's kind of doing about the same in terms of output as JKS, but the rest of Tainted Minds aren't doing enough. Maybe that will change in this round because Renegade's really switching up the pace. Yam's already found the opening kill. And look at Ustillo's advanced position here. The smokes are still up, but Yam, with that AWP, making the difference. I said he could make the difference if he plays towards A, and it looks like that will be the case as Tainted Minds just seem to win every single fight. And that's, like I was saying, I would really like to see Yam switch up with that AWP. You can be very dynamic with that AWP on CT side of Train. It's cool to see him just go to the A site, find a couple of kills, make the difference, and now Tainted Minds have a chance to try and build a streak because they have got a double AWP setup in play.
This is something that we're doing yesterday as well. Offnu and Yam going to be picking up those AWPs. Let's see what they can get done with them. They're going to be, you know, the way you can play with a double up setup is one gets aggressive, the other plays a little bit more passive. You can look for the opening pick. Tainted Minds instead will be somewhat halted in doing any aggression. Offnu decides to fall back from B. Nifty, in fact, is looking for that opening kill towards Ivy. And Zeusy, dangerously close to the bullets, but just trying to bait it out once again. See as much information he can get from that angle. Zeusy, in fact, takes a lot of damage on board, dropped down to 51 HP. And Renegades, they've pretty much got the control that they want. They've got the pace dictated, so they can really just slow things down. They can decide what they want to do. Set up for an execute. It looks as though they are making their preference towards the A-bomb site. And this is actually pretty good for Tainted Minds because they have 4 players towards this side of the map. And also, Offnu, who is still playing B, is still very close to the connector. So he can rotate back to A as soon as the info is gained. So Renegades may have some resistance that they may not expect as this A execute comes in. The wall of smoke blooms. And Burn, he's going to be the first point of contact for the CT side. He's got a hold, player on the blue tree, and Azur, he gets away safely. Yam is in fact the first kill come through, but it's still a trade. Missed shot from Yam, and that leaves him in a very awkward position, and Azur will follow up. 3 versus 4. Zusi looking for a kill, but it's not going to happen. And Ins now, 1 versus 3, and it's not going to happen either. Estillo just looks down towards Ivy. We'll find that kill, and we go 9-4, and Renegades, they answer back once again.
A couple of interesting things in that round. So, firstly, I don't know who the player on top of Blue Train was for Tainted Minds. I don't quite remember. I think it might have been Burn. But that was a really weird little jump there, which kind of just gave away his position, right? It gave off a sound cue. And then secondly, Yam was in a pretty good position with the AWP. He was in a fairly far forward angle. I think he was in towards Red Train or E-Box. And as soon as those smokes came in, he fell back to connector behind the smokes to try and play on the bomb site. And that did work for 1 kill. But it was a pretty sort of conservative approach that Yam took with that AWP. He only ended up getting a single frag on that A site hold. And yeah, I thought he was in a pretty good position to watch for that one. So I'm kind of surprised he decided to fall back there. Either way, with just pistols into this round, Renegades should have an easy time, unless Zusi can put in a shift, but that won't be the case. Only 1 kill for him. And Int has pushed through Ivy, but he hasn't got any realistic chance of winning this one. So it looks like we could see Renegades get that 11-4 T-side half. And if they were to get an 11-4 T-side half, that would be the exact same scoreline as that train game they played against Tyloo. So that's kind of an interesting parallel, I suppose. We'll just see if Ints can do anything with this CZ. Seems unlikely, though.
Oh, gets a 1-tap. It's actually quite difficult to do sometimes with a CZ. I feel like we've seen it yesterday, you know, first bullet accuracy is sometimes can be unpredictable. That one was definitely accurate. It's going to be a 1 versus 3. Could get a little bit more as still was pretty low HP, down to 23, but decides against peeking Ins, and actually Ins going to catch out JKS. So he's actually done his job pretty well. He's got himself quite a few kills. Goes down to the bomb, of course.
It doesn't really mean anything, though.
Yeah.
We're heading into the last round. Renegades are buying anyway, so, you know, I guess it's nice to get some kills just for your confidence or something, but it's not going to have an impact on the overall sort of context of the game. You don't even get much money for a CZ kill. I think it's still $50, if I'm not mistaken, so it doesn't really make a massive difference, but at least Tainted Minds have the buy for the last round of the half. Again, Yam with that AWP is going to be playing towards the A site. And again, Renegades have consistently been going in towards A. I don't remember a single round, really. Renegades have gone towards that B side of the map, but Azur in trouble. Perfect nade usage takes him down. The Ivy push going to come through, though.
And he's going to hold, and he's going to drop Stillo again. He's been so good at the entry frags, but Burn, if he followed up on that, he may be able to find himself something, but Zusi, he's going to be holding back on the side towards all bombs, just looks and takes Jacob down to 6 HP. And Burn, stuck in hell, has to find a little bit more with his UMP as they come towards his position. Stillo again is the entry force, and he finds himself Burn, just barraging them, forcing them away. And Yam, he's got to find something with his op. He's going to be making his way through the stairs towards CT. And there's a player right there, that's J-Chem. If Yam can find him, this will make things a little bit easier for Tainted Minds as it pulls it back into a 3 versus 3. Zusi drops from heaven, spots a couple of players out towards Ivy, and Yam and Zusi, they'll chat him together. It's all onto Nifty, a 1 versus 3. He's got to find himself all 3 players, and he only gets 1. So Tainted Minds somehow pull that back and get themselves 5 rounds on the CT side. Not bad, I mean, considering it could have been a lot worse. 10-5 is a reasonable scoreline.
Yeah, it's certainly doable for them. I'm kind of wondering if Tainted Minds are maybe showing a bit too much respect to Renegades. Like, we are seeing them play really far back. I mean, remember Yam yesterday, he was pushing through A main with the AWP and doing crazy plays. And here today, you see him sit really far back. He was playing almost in towards CT spawn in that round. Eventually, he did make the play, though. He did go for the aggressive push. So it was cool to see that. Maybe that means that Tainted Minds have started to realize they need to play a bit more proactively, a bit more aggressive. Hopefully that will be the case as Tainted Minds into this round. Go for the Molotov on towards Ofnu. Oftentimes they'll buy a smoke and a molly in combination with each other, but instead he's decided to drop a P250 into the hands of Yam. So Yam being that sort of mini raid boss with the P250 and Kevlar. It's nice to have that P250 just to allow those longer range headshots, which the Glock can't really do for the team. And Renegades still leaving JKS alone on the B bomb site. Again, this is something we've seen so often from Renegades. Leave JKS alone anchoring a bomb site. With just the USP, though, it's going to be pretty difficult. At the same time, there's no smoke for Tainted Minds, so he might have a chance early. And now Nifty is rotating just before the push comes in, so there are 2 players here.
JKS, 3 players come into his crosshair. He lands the first shot. Gonna look for a little bit more, but it's Nifty to help him out. So there's a chance here for Tainted Minds. They just have to find the kills to pull it back, and there's the first. The second is not going to happen for Yam as he gets ripped apart by Azur, and the flank from Burn is sniffed out, and that will be 11-5. And Renegades again win the pistol round. They've been very, very consistent at winning the pistols. They're a very solid team in the pistol rounds.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder if I've updated my pistol stats. I don't think I did update them for yesterday, sadly. But yeah, I was keeping track of the Renegades pistol rounds wins because they were doing a very good job at consistently winning them throughout this entire tournament. I mean, obviously, they've had some games against weaker opposition, so you've got to take that into account. But still, they've certainly performed incredibly well. And as you would expect, if you watch Tainted Minds play, they haven't gone for a huge investment here, especially after getting the bomb plant in the previous round. They decide it's fine to just buy up a CZ for Offnu, so they certainly will be forcing up into the next round. But into this one, Azur's going to hope to clean up the mess. That nade does good damage to both Yam and Burn. And as Azur goes for the push forwards, another nade to follow through. Burn down to 23 HP, and he hasn't even seen an opponent.
Something I would like to see perhaps from Tainted Minds. Obviously, they're down quite a bit now, so... Oh, Azur uses the bins to his advantage. He jumps up on top, he looks over the top of them and finds a player in behind. Now Tainted Minds are going to try and push into the start of the map, and Nifty going to be holding. MP9, kill comes in early doors, and now you're looking for a little bit more with the USP, but not to be, and Yusilla will finish it off. 12-5, and Renegades are 4 rounds away from taking this, and that's kind of why I wanted Tainted Minds to maybe invest a little bit more into the second round. You know, there's a high chance you can actually do damage or even win the round in that scenario. You see it all the time. You see the second round wins coming in if you invest in sort of the CZs and the Kevlar, maybe a couple of Deagles. You can see how close you can get to winning those rounds. So Tainted Minds, they're kind of limiting themselves in that factor, but also the reward they get in sort of gun rounds is far greater, though. They get the AKs out pretty early, along with utility that they otherwise probably wouldn't have had if they had forced into the second one. But yeah, he's going to make his way out onto the A-bomb site. Very aggressive. This is the style of play we were talking about earlier.
Wow.
He's going to find the opening kill. Yam's in a good position to trade, and he will find it. Looking towards Ivy, perhaps heard Nifty, but Nifty will still find that kill. JKM elsewhere chiming in. Nifty dropped down to 4 HP, could fall to Burn here, and he will. 3 versus 2. Tainted Minds keep that man advantage, but as soon as I say that, JKS makes the difference. And Burn, are you okay? And Offnu. They've got to stay alive here for Tainted Minds.
Ooh, okay. So Renegades are going to go all the way back to B so that they can go through Connector on towards the A bomb site. How quickly will Tainted Minds plant? Well, the answer is they're going to plant pretty much straight away. Also, in that round, Renegades pushed in towards Pop Dog, so I thought they would have been able to see if Yam had pushed through A main, but clearly they did not spot that out. And now Renegades will be sticking together for the retake. They're going incredibly slowly here. I mean, they do both have kits, but Offnu is about to spot them. Quick headshot, but the trade comes in. It's JKM versus Burn, are you okay, in a crucial round, and the bomb isn't really planted for Burn here. He's over towards A main, and yet the bomb's planted at the back of the bomb site, so as JKM fakes the defuse, Burn is going to be a little worried here. You can see he's getting towards the bomb. JKM gets back on the defuse, but the kill is found. Maybe if JKM sticks that the first time around, he could have won the round there. However, he had no way of knowing where Burn was playing from, and a nice round for Tainted Minds. Even if it was a little bit close, just a very important one for them to win, because now they have got a fighting chance here. Sure, they're 12-6 behind, but if they can keep Renegades down to a few ecos, make a few rounds easier for them, that would be a good opportunity for them to really get this streak going. Again, Tainted Minds, surprisingly enough, because they only saved the one gun there, their buy isn't maybe as good as you would hope. Like, against the eco, you do kind of want as many nades as possible, just so you can kind of nade some of those close angles, molly out some of those close corners, but they're just going to be pushing towards the B site, where it's only JKS holding, so they should still have a good chance, although this nade could do huge damage.
Yeah, that grenade is going to not do so much. It does like a splinter of damage. Offnu going to find himself a kill onto JKS. And Yam, again, very aggressive, taking control of the B-bomb site. Just trying to force Renegades away from this area. Tainted Minds are definitely showing up here on their T side. Looks a lot better from them. JKM, though, is pretty good at these in the scenarios when you count him out. He seems to shine when you need him most, and he's found himself two. Nifty and Ustillo. Last two players. Ustillo, the only player with a CZ. Nifty obviously wanting to try and save as much as possible to get the AWP out.
What?
But what?
Oh, 4x3.
4x3 indeed. And Burn comes in to find Nifty. CZ kill still comes in though. And it was we've seen that a couple of times so far in this tournament, where players just walk right past each other. Ustillo, luckily, this actually works out for him. I mean, Burn doesn't spot him out. He doesn't spot out Burn. Nifty falls. He had the USP. Ustillo turns on with a CZ and actually walks out of it with an AK-47. So, not a bad round for him.
Well, it is a tactical timeout called from Renegades. Their first of the map, because in that first half, there was no need to call a timeout at any point. They had full control. However, that's not the case anymore. Ooh, okay. Currently, JKS has the AWP in his hands. Nifty does have Kevlar. I wonder if JKS has a better spawn or something. He's got a pretty good spawn if he maybe wanted to peek up a B, but it's not great. So I wonder if JKS is just going to be picking up the AWP on this CT side, because Nifty has been struggling so far. Again, I assume he probably is still struggling with that sickness.
I mean, Nifty actually has the best spawn to get a pick towards Team In. So it's interesting that JKS is going to be given that AWP. But yeah, the only thing I can really think of as the reason why he would be having it is that Nifty just maybe not feeling it. Maybe feel having that sickness, but...
I think it's just because he's anchoring the B-bomb site, maybe.
Okay. Maybe. Oh yeah, because he's playing from the connector, yeah.
Yeah. Makes it a little easier just to get one long-range kill, try and get that retake going. And it looks like JKS could be tested because Tainted Minds ready to go towards B. And if they smoke down ramp, I don't know how much JKS will be able to do to stop this.
Well, here they go. No smoke, and still they get the kill. Yeah, I'm just ripping JKS a new one, and they open up the B bomb site, pressing in as In's just getting control. And this is something Tainted Minds would be very good at. Just taking that B control and forcing themselves all over the map. It's very difficult for Renegades to find anything, and I think at this point they're just trying to save. 3 players back towards Ivy. They haven't got any money if they were to lose this one, and that would be Tainted Minds most likely getting towards that equalizing scoreline. So, you know, having JKS being the sole player back inside of the connector, you know, if that kill comes in, you know, usually you see a smoke come down, but instead Yam just one-taps JKS out of the way. Now Nifty has got to hold on. Molotov comes in. Nifty going to land the shot into Offnu. Just keeping them at bay, but it's Zusi going to drop Ustillo, and every player that falls for Renegades is a player that's going to have very little money. Luckily for Ustillo, he does have some left over. JKS, that's not a luxury he can afford, sadly. He's going to be down to $2,400. What can he buy? Maybe a CZ armor. Ustillo, you know, seems to be just purchasing up the same.
Huh. So a tactical timeout from Tainted Minds here.
Look at that.
Ooh.
Straight up hit, headshot. Forces JKS to die, really. Just there's no player really there to help him out. So, you know, if that is the risk you pose as well, it's unlikely that you'll see a player come down the ramp like that and do that. So, I guess JKS wasn't really expecting it. He had the AWP there just watching the ramp. Was probably expecting to get at least one then fall back inside of the connector if there was no smoke, but... Nope, he gets the bullet to the face, and Renegades, they lose the B bomb site quite quickly. That forces them automatically to save. I wouldn't be surprised if Renegades changed up their defense a little bit and changed up the setup.
They're going to save here. Renegades, even though they saved those 3 guns, they're going to keep enough money in the bank to buy into the next round, which is interesting. Yeah, I'm trying an ambitious wallbang. We've seen Guardian land that in the past. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to, though. Nifty forced back by the Molotov. So yeah, this is kind of a not necessarily a bonus round for Renegades, because they certainly could still win this, especially if Nifty peeks at the right time. Currently he's being watched though. He would really need a flash if he were to go for this peek. Now he goes for it, but he doesn't get the shot. He had to peek there because JKS had already gone down, but that puts this round to bed. There's no way Renegades are going to go for this one. Again, losing the B site, you can't retake. unless you found a couple of kills on the initial hold. And with 2 rifles in hand, there is certainly a valid reason for Renegades to try and hold on to these ones. Yustillo even going to get himself an AK, so if they could save 3 rifles, that would be nice, but I'm not sure if Tainted Minds want to allow the save.
Burn gonna walk around the corner, finds JCam. It's gonna be Azure and Yustillo in a 2 versus 4. Yam on the opposite end of this paper truck. That's Yam on the opposite end of that with the AWP. The head pops up and Azure doesn't spot him out. Yam will be able to take that and Tainted Minds will go to 9. This is starting to look a lot better for the Tainted Minds side. Renegades starting to be pressured. Getting a run for their money. And Renegades, the decision to sort of save actually works out here because they have the full buy, obviously. This was the idea behind it. They had the chance to win the last one, but obviously it was unlikely considering Tainted Minds have the momentum. They have every player with a rifle and an AWP and utility. Renegades decide to leave a little bit of money in the bank and hope for the best into the next one. They will have 4M4s and AWP to work with, this time back into the hands of Nifty. And they've changed up their setup slightly, you know, taking JKS off the AWP. He can play towards ramp safely. Shot from Yam. Could have been deja vu.
So again, something we've seen throughout this Asian minor is that it seems as though when Renegades start to lose a couple of rounds, it can quickly sort of turn into a streak and snowball out of control. And again, that's why I've kept saying this a couple of times now, but Renegades, they won that T-half 11-4 against Tai Lu, and yet Tai Lu came back to win on Train. And that's something that Renegades maybe need to work on, just that mental game, because right now, the same could be happening for them here. I mean, to be fair, I think a couple of these rounds have maybe been a little unfortunate, like Yam landing that shot on towards JKS. I think that's mainly just Yam kind of landing a great shot, right? JKS couldn't have done much about that. But this time, they've got 2 players on the B bomb site. We've seen Tainted Minds hit that B site round after round. This time, Renegades have a couple of players ready for the hold, and with 35 seconds, there are still 2 incendiaries left on these 2 B players on the CT side, so that could slow down the push here.
Molotov goes out towards upper. It's Yustillo to try and hold on the bomb site. It's going to be a kill from Yustillo. JKS down below, looking up towards the upper position. Will connect onto ins. Yustillo will find himself one as well. And Burn, he's got to fight, but he has too many angles to check. And it's all onto Yam. He'll find Nifty, but looks for a little bit more. 4 players to find in 10 seconds. It's not going to happen for Yam, and he's away back trying to save this op.
Oh. Eventually breaks the window. He's going to be fine, though. Yam will get to save the AWP. Tainted Minds will still have the money. But more importantly for Renegades, they get themselves another round on the board after losing a few in a row. They also get to save 4 guns out of that round. I guess now the interesting factor becomes whether or not Tainted Minds want to go back to B again, because we've seen them go there, I think, 3 rounds in a row now. So maybe it is becoming a little predictable. We didn't see Renegades massively switch things up there. I think the main thing that won Renegades that round is that they had that incendiary thrown in towards both upper and ramp. And the incendiary at ramp, you really can't push through that. You're going to take so much damage. But the players at upper decided to push through the incendiary on the Tainted Minds side. So it kind of just allowed Renegades to split up the defense, right? To split up the push, sorry. They staggered the push. Tainted Minds had the 2 ramp players stuck in that position while the players were just trying to run out through upper. And it allowed Renegades some easy fights where they were only focused on one angle. So that really allowed Renegades to win those opening duels and then close out the round win from there. They're going to have to look to do the same again if they want to win this round, because Tainted Minds still have a buy, and they won't be fully leaning towards the B bomb site this time. Interestingly, Renegades might think it's an A play. It seems like they might have a read because they've got that 4-man stack. In the previous rounds, we've seen them go for 2 players towards B, but this time JKS is alone on that B bomb site, while Renegades stack 4 players towards A. Let's see if that read is correct.
Tainted Minds again, putting 2 players down towards Ivy. A little bit of presence towards upper B. They don't have too much control of it just yet. As though they do want to take Ivy once again. And with 1 minute and 7 seconds left on the clock, they've still got plenty of time to try and take areas of the map and then follow up with it. But Renegades just using up quite a bit of the utility. And I think that's the goal from Tainted Minds, is to try and drain the utility of Renegades. So when you walk into a bomb site, it's a lot easier. There's less resistance in terms of utility usage from the Renegade side. So Tainted Minds, they do throw a flashbang in towards Ivy. That's going to bear down another Molotov. And with 40 seconds left, eventually they will make their push into what looks like the A bomb site, but the bomb, in fact, making its way back over towards B. Get a good eye pop dog. There's a possibility either way, but the flashbangs, the smokes, they come out towards Ivy. Definitely looks like the Tainted Minds are wanting to take this map control. Another smoke goes on, and this time to the right side. It's going to be a B split from Ivy. This is such an intelligent play, but Azur lets them all go through the smoke. This is incredible from Azur. He'll hear the footsteps. Yam takes the damage, but whiffs the spray onto 2. Very difficult to hit indeed.
No time.
And no time for Tainted Minds to get anywhere near that side. 3 seconds on the timer. He has to play for elimination, and it's not going to happen. Renegades will go 14-9.
I think it's a reasonable idea from Tainted Minds there.
Waited too long, yeah.
Yeah, to go for that B split. But yeah, I think they took a bit too much time, right? The Ivy players aren't getting anywhere near the B site to assist with the push, and then you're kind of leaving 2 B players to try and fully take the B bomb site. And that might just settle this one, because Tainted Minds, they've taken their last tactical pause here. However, they don't have that much money. Burn, Are You Okay? At least has $6,500. Ints has $4,100 to work with, so those 2 can buy, but the rest of the team would not be able to invest. And that makes this one a kind of tough decision here. Considering they're 14-9 behind, like they probably would want to force into this round, but I think they'll probably go for the half buy, right? Like, you want to be able to buy here. You don't want to let Renegades get a map point, is what I'm trying to say. But I think if you're focusing on trying to actually, you know, win the game and have the best possible chance, probably saving is the best call. And Tainted Minds have decided to just go for the pistols. Again, it seems like their playstyle is pretty dependent on getting those nades out. That's consistently something we see from Tainted Minds. Maybe the pistols can do something, as Yam gets the dink, but no kill. A little unfortunate there, as... Huh, you still take some damage. Was that a team nade?
I didn't quite catch it, actually. I feel like Tainted Minds, these decisions were quite good, because obviously when you're playing an overdog or a favorite, then you definitely have to play with the rifles. I think that's your best option, is to play with those rifles and utility. Obviously, Renegades are the better team here on paper, and Tainted Minds, they will be trying to bring it to them. Renegades, if they win this, they will be going up to 15-9, and Tainted Minds will have to play for overtime, which is going to be very difficult indeed. But we've seen it happen yesterday, where they were down 15-8, I believe it was, and they came back quite a few rounds. But the opening engagement is back and forth once again. JK will find the first kill, traded back by Offnu. Burn just trying to catch someone out with the deagle. With 45 seconds left, Tainted Minds need to make a decision at this point. If they rattle a shot off towards Connector, they could actually drop Nifty. It's dropped down to 18 HP. But Tainted Minds into this 3 versus 3. Burn, Are You Okay? Very low indeed, and 25 seconds left. They've still got 3 players set up, looking to go towards that A bomb site. Finally walk out of team in. Nifty sitting back on the bomb site, just waiting for a player to come towards him. Counter utility comes in. Azur down inside of Hell will find the first, and the bomb drops as well. He knows exactly where that is, and he just needs to hold on to it. He knows that Burn is in Olaf, so he knows he just has to hold the bomb. The smoke comes in. Burn peaks a little bit too early and he'll fall. There's no time anyway, and Renegades will win it. 15-9 is the scoreline. And match point for Renegades here on map number 1.
Even when Tainted Minds bring that to a 3 versus 3, without a massive amount of utility, it's always going to be difficult on train, especially when you're against the Orbs. You see here initially, Renegades using their nades to counter that rush completely. And then towards the end of the round, Azur finding it pretty easy. Again, no nades kind of coming in towards him makes it a lot easier, but a good flash here. Ince is trying to take position with the Orb. I think he's taken that because he had the good spawn, and yeah, you can see he's already given it back to Yam. So unfortunately for Ince, trying to work that opening pick has just costed him health. He's down to 26 HP. In the meantime, Ustilo pushing into a main. Is he going to clear the left-hand side? Oh. Zusi is going to find him in the back. Easy kill. Ustilo overlooking that position, and that's a bit of a mistake from Ustilo, not expecting there to be a player on the left-hand side. That kind of gives Tainted Minds a chance here, right? Like, we haven't seen Tainted Minds get the opening pick too often in the recent rounds. Obviously, they had that little win streak of rounds where they were getting the opening generally towards B, but Ustilo giving away that kill gives Tainted Minds a pretty good chance here, especially if Yam could find one more, but he's not going to spot Azur. Something that is kind of interesting is the Yam currently has the bomb in his hand, so if Azur somehow took him down and won that fight against the Orpa, he would be able to drop the bomb, but that's not the case. Yam manages to win the duel. And Tainted Minds, with a 5-on-3 advantage, should be winning this round most of the time.
Tainted Minds going to deploy smoke grenades towards the A-bomb site. And Renegades, they're down 2 men, but there's the shot from JCam. There's the trade. It's a conveyor belt of death. And JCam will find those. Ooh. Oh, that's great. The Molotov and the smoke going together. And Nifty, he's going to find 2 with the AWP, and it's all on to Yam. Renegades are about to take map number 1, and they do 16-9. JKS will find Yam and end the first map there with Train ending 16-9 in favor of Renegades. I think the Tainted Minds, a lot of people have said, you know, they needed to win 2-0 to win the series. First map doesn't go their way, so now they've got to fight for it, and they've got to win this next map coming up.
Yeah, we've got Overpass coming up next, obviously, Tainted Minds map pick. I kind of hope that on Overpass that they should be a bit more prepared, a bit more comfortable, just to be able to go for that aggression like we saw yesterday, because I feel like there was a portion of the game there where they did give Renegades a bit too much room to work with. You know, you kind of have to get up in your opponent's face when you're the underdog a lot of the time. You want to stop the opponents from going for those pushes, and we saw that come through eventually from Tainted Minds towards the last few rounds. It was just a little bit too late in this one, and that's why they ended up losing pretty convincingly. 16-9 in the end. Renegades will be happy with that one, and we'll see what Overpass entails, because I think this could be a very close map.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to Overpass, but we're going to throw it over to the analysts so they can analyze the first map.
Ustilo and Yakem, they're going off on all fronts, and a rather safe and sound victory on Train, our first map in this best of 3 for Renegades. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Blair, what are your initial reactions to what we have just seen? I mean, we're going to go through some specific moments and highlights afterwards, but just tell me what you picked up from that match.
Yeah, 2 things, right? Like, firstly, the CD side from Tainted Minds was kind of atrocious, I'll be very blunt. I really felt they could have done it better, but then again, when we saw this map coming in, we kind of expected it to go the way of Renegades, right? Now, the second point being, Renegades just got a little shaky there, right? They struggled a little bit closing things out. Tainted Minds were kind of...
Just a bit.
Just a bit.
Just a very small bit.
But
I think passable amount.
But I'll give credit to Tainted Minds. They kind of like started grinding a few rounds up here and there, but the Renegades just switch it up completely, and then they just like shut down that outer side especially, right? And then just close it out. So kind of what we expected, but I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed with the way Tainted Minds played at CD side, and if you're going to be seeing that CD side defense on Overpass, I think it's going to get a little rough here.
Need a buddy system. Buddy.
Is
that what Renegades or Tainted were lacking in your...
Tainted Minds. Same thing from yesterday. There's no trade potential, especially on that CT side.
Yes.
It's never had him an opportunity to at least go a 1-for-1. There's just a lot of opportunities where Tainted Minds just got killed, and that's it. Yeah, my teammate's screwed because I died in a weird spot. Why not?
Is this already spelling out a misfortune for Tainted Minds, considering that allowing Train in the Veto, and the Veto, how it went, was, in your opinion, guys, not optimal for Tainted?
Yeah, it wasn't optimal, right? And if it's gonna, even if they take their map pick, next map Overpass, which I'll be honest, I have my doubts on. If it goes to the third map, it's gonna be Inferno. I don't fancy the chances on Inferno, but let's not talk about Inferno. Let's talk about Overpass, right? When did last play that map? They played against Unique Stars, the Israeli team, you know, one of the bigger underdogs coming into this tournament, and they were very sloppy. It almost went to overtime. Unique Stars mounted a pretty massive comeback, and it was primarily, I think it was Burn who pulled off like 2. Burn, are you okay? I'm going to be very specific with his name.
Are you okay?
Burn, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Yanni?
Right.
Let's move into some specific highlights that you guys wanted to mention. Starting off with ERIC and
K.
It's
K.
K.
It's
Yeah,
K. ERIC.
KK.
There you go.
All right.
Close.
We are talking about an obvious Ivy take by Renegades.
So one of their weaknesses, I think, for Team Renegades is sometimes they project what they're kind of doing, and this is a pretty obvious example in it. There's about, I think, 40 seconds left in the round, and they throw 3 Molotovs in this Ivy position, and if you're playing against a pretty good team, they're going to tell teams, hey, that's 3 Molotovs, guys. Let's over-rotate, let's adjust, let's just stomp them in the Ivy. And kind of what happens, you see, if you know 3 people's in Ivy, that kind of gives you a little more room to not worry about ladder, worry about middle, worry about inside, because you can kind of focus your numbers in there. So you saw Zeusy take out 3 people, and pretty good round by Tainted Minds, but maybe a little on the first gun round. I think it's a little too much. It seems like a very specific kind of strat. And I think you could probably save that for, I guess, a later round, or if you see some in their defense that you want to do, exploit.
So in that sense, ERIK, you think that the timing, so that execute could work in certain situations, but
yes.
In this instance, it was maybe too early or just the wrong moment to
too
put it out of
early,
the bag.
too late in the round. If you hit him time and maybe give the idea that we possibly could fall back inside, I think could work a lot more. But if you wait till 30, 40 seconds left in the round, it doesn't give you much room to fall all the way back inside, to give that the illusion of the CTs that, hey, they could possibly fall back.
Yes. Now let's move on to Suden. You have a example of exploiting the outer area of Train.
Yeah, so this is one round which I think was very telling as to how Tainted Minds are playing the CD side. We've seen this in the past as well, where they're so disjointed. Look at this, right? Look at the amount of map control they're giving Renegades. They're walking out towards Ivy. The Ivy guy is completely lost. He's smoked off. There's one player playing right behind E-Box, and a third player on the bomb train. You can see here, like Eric mentioned earlier, zero. Absolutely zero trade potential. Renegades just go for kind of a contact play, a couple of flashbangs, one smoke, and you can see boom, 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 and unfortunately, it even gets taken down by Nifty to the smoke. But look at this. Not one of them were traded. They couldn't get a single kill, and this was pretty much Renegades are swarming all over the map. Now, just what this tells me is the fact that Tainted Minds, the CD side, they rely a lot on individual heroics, like getting multi-spray downs, and it could also be due to the fact that they don't have the experience of playing against a team of a higher caliber. They're used to playing against local domestic competition, where it can get a little ugly, so to speak. You are these are pretty decent players, like Burn, Zeusy, and all these guys, and they're used to getting the 3-man spray downs, the 2-man spray downs, and they're probably pretty comfortable holding those angles. But when they're going to be facing off against the likes of a Tyloo, against the likes of Renegades, and any team above them, then they're going to be facing off against people who are going to double peek you, triple peek. You're going to have like pop flashes popping all over the place. They're going to be using the numbers against you. Your multi-spray, multi-frag potential is diminished quite a lot. You're not going to get those sort of spray downs, so you need to work the buddy system. You need to have a crossfire setup. Buddy. You gotta have your buddies. Unfortunately, didn't work out.
In that specific instance, before we get on to our final thoughts and go to a short break, how could they have held that A site better? You mentioned Ivy, there should have been more presence there, so Renegades couldn't get it for free. I feel like the player on E-Box, on most setups where it includes a player there, player is very crucial. He's also very vulnerable, because if he gets pushed from Pop Dog or main at the same time, all those people have got an Ivy control coming through the alley, that he's going to get shot from multiple directions, and he needs to either have someone protecting him, like De Bears was pointing out in terms of trading, or he needs to have an angle where he's at least going to get 1 kill straight away.
I think this is Counter-Strike fundamental, where basically it's very similar to certain maps like in Dust 2 in a B-bomb set, for example, right? When you're getting pushed from multiple angles, you want to just double up in one extremity or one of the entry points, maybe towards Ivy, 2 towards Ivy, maybe have 2 towards E-Box or towards Pop Dog, have at least a couple of guys so you shut something down, and then you can go for the retake play instead of being distributed far, far apart. It's the basic stuff right there.
I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just think it was cool to point out, because that E-Box position, when it's used well, that can become so strong, but there is a lot of risk, and as my wonderful analyst have pointed out, it needs to be situated correctly, in the structure around that player needs to be strong, and in which case this time it was not. Guys, closing thoughts before we go to a break.
Overpass TM, I hope they have some up their sleeve.
Something
special. They pick the map. We know that Renegades have been practicing it behind the scenes. That's what a little bird told me.
I saw you creeping behind them, eating some crisps and licking your fingers.
I'm trying to get all the tidbits that I can get.
Blair?
Yeah, I mean, Eric pretty much stole all the words out of my mouth, right? I think I have heard some, little birds flying around saying that, Overpass, we might actually be playing it this time around, which could be a problem, because Tainted Minds, even though it is a map that they play on, from what I've seen so far in this tournament, on that map and that CD side of theirs, it is not a good combo make.
Okay, well, thank you very much, guys, for that input. That will be it from us on the desk for now. Renegades are one map away from reaching the grand final and playing Tyloo, thus securing a spot at the FACEIT Major in September. Tainted Minds need to win this next map, Overpass, and then the third Inferno to get there. So, it's going to be tough, but everything is still on the line. Do not go anywhere. Up next, it's that second map.